gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 367. Woo! As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by resident old bastard, Chris Saturn.
Hello.
Hi, Saturn.
Hi, Justin.
We had housekeeping, but now we don't
almost
have housekeeping.
We have ex housekeeping. It'll come back next episode.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just go right into my week. I've mostly still been doing miniature related stuff. Been getting a lot of painting that has been backlogged for a few years out of the way. So that's good, and I like that. As far as the videoed games, not a ton. Played some Luminace.
Nice.
I don't even know what else. Not really not much. I'm just now kind of like getting back into my Steam Deck, and I picked some games up, and I'm excited about it. But
yeah,
I'm trying to finish some of these painting and modeling projects I have done. I spent like an hour and a half today painting Hot Wheels, which was fun. Because a friend of mine was like, "Hey, let's play Gaslands," which is a tabletop game, but it's like Mad Max. So you show up with Hot Wheels that you've like glued guns and shit to, and painted them dirty. You know,
you put a bunch of little tiny speakers on them.
Yeah, so I've just been like gluing shit to Hot Wheels and painting them this afternoon. So that's been my afternoon activity, which is it's fun because they're cheap and you don't really care if you ruin a 96-cent Hot Wheel. So that feels good, as opposed to when you're doing actual proper miniature stuff and you're like, oh man, this miniature is like $4. I don't want to like fuck them up, and then you do, and then you wasted $4.
See, your notes just said minis stuff, and for some reason I thought you meant mini consoles, and I was like, ooh, he's playing with his mini consoles again.
You know, I don't. As much as I like those things, I never touch them.
Right, and then you started talking about it, and you said miniatures, and again, my mind went to Hershey's miniatures. And I was like, oh, it's got chocolate again.
He's just been eating chocolate and playing Super Nintendo. Yes, actually, that sounds really awesome.
I know, right?
Sounds fantastic. Why am I not doing that instead?
Just playing Super Nintendo and eating Mr. Goodbar.
But no, just trying to get a lot of like tabletop-related projects kind of out of the way, while I'm, jazzed up about it. Because I go in phases. I'll be like, for 2-3 months, I'll be like, oh man, let's do a bunch of this. And then I'll not do it for like a year.
Right, so, yeah. There's like this ebb and flow of Justin's interests of the season. Yes.
You can just say that I'm obsessive.
I don't even know about obsessive. Maybe eccentric.
I do things in bursts, and it's how I like to do things. Yeah. Everything is some type of binge for me, and then I'm done and I move on, and it gets put away, and then it comes out again the next year. I've started to learn some of my obsessions do time themselves with specific seasons. So I'm starting to learn that. Something about spring, I'm all about card games in the spring. And something about summer, I'm all about like crafty modeling, miniatures, hobby type projects.
And winter is V-Pets, right?
Winter is honestly, usually V-Pets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that there's a specific fall thing. But yeah, maybe fall's video games is when I get
fall
real
is your celebrity dildo collection.
Right. I want to get them all. You got to collect them all.
Right.
It's their tagline. They didn't steal it from anything. What have you been doing, Saturn?
I got all these celebrity dildos. No, I was playing Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series, which is the new remaster.
Yes. How is that?
It's so good. So
and it's a collection, right? It's
it's the first two games.
Okay.
I wish it had the GBA games on there too, but it does not. It's just the first two games, and it is based on the PS1 version of the first game, not on the Wii version. But the two games were similar enough that you're not missing out on much. There's I think there was a bonus level on the Wii version that is not on this one.
Right.
But it does look nicer than the Wii. I got the Xbox version. I imported it from Amazon UK. Because Namco decided that only got a physical release in Europe and nowhere else in the world.
Thanks, Namco.
Yeah. So.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, but no, it's very good. I've been really enjoying going back and replaying Klonoa. It's just such a charming game, and all of the little voices and sound effects are just disgustingly adorable. And sometimes I need that. Mm-hmm. It does have an easy mode that they added, which does the one thing that I want the easy mode in every retro re-release to do, which is just give you infinite lives.
Yes.
It's all I really need. Just constant checkpoints and infinite lives.
Why is it even considered an easy mode? Just like infinite lives.
Yeah, which is what Sonic Origins does.
Infinite Lives felt antiquated in like the early, Limited Lives felt antiquated in like the early 90s.
Right.
We still,
yeah,
I don't understand it.
Right. But no, it's a very good collection. I dig it. It seems to do what it set out to do well, and I still enjoy both those games.
Even Dark Souls has infinite lives.
Yeah.
Even Dark Souls.
The weirdest part is games. The weirdest part is games like Super Mario World that has limited lives, but unlimited continues.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it.
Like, what? Why? Why bother? Anyway, also I got an 8BitDo Pro 2.
Yes, how is that?
It's good. It feels really good in the hands. I got the Xbox version, which is wired and connects to either an Xbox or PC, and I have learned nothing else. If you try to use it on a Switch, no go. If you try to use it on Android, no, nothing. Sorry, you can't do that.
How strange.
I tried to use it in Linux. Nope, can't
I mean, on
see
PC, it's theoretically X input, right?
It is kind of X input, I guess, but
shouldn't at least Android recognize
you
X
would
input?
think that Android and Linux would recognize it if it were just X input, because I tried plugging it in Linux and Android. No, it doesn't see it. It's not a valid input device.
Great.
But it does work on Windows and Xbox, and it does what it needs to do. And I was actually playing some Klonoa with it, and it feels great on the Xbox. I mean, it feels like an SN30 Pro Plus. However, it does have those two back paddles, which initially I had no idea what the fuck to do with, so I just put them both on
jump on them.
Yeah. And that way, when I am jumping and flailing to float for a second because I misjudged the platform, I can just squeeze the controller and float.
Honestly, just putting jump on back paddles alone is enough to really, especially in like, I know you don't play FPS games, but in FPS games, it's stellar. I can still use both sticks to move and aim while jumping. It's crucial.
Yeah, I was also playing some Sonic Origins on my Xbox, and I was like, well, which button will I put on there? Oh, yeah, jump, because that's every button in Sonic. So it was, to map the rear paddles on it, you use either the PC or Android app for it, and it connects to your phone via Bluetooth for that one app, but everything else has to be wired. Which is weird, but it's apparently
weird,
it's how they were able to get Xbox certified to work on the console.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, fucking Microsoft. Also, I finished Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh my gosh, you finally took care of old Metal Face?
I did.
Legitimate character name.
Yeah.
Metal Face.
Yeah, you actually finish him off like 2/3 of the way through the game. And then one of your characters literally has a sword at his throat, and your other character says, "Wait, we can't. We're better than him."
Oh yeah, that's the guy that gets.
And I'm like, oh come on,
he's
fuck
literally,
off with that.
for people that haven't played the game, he's literally a giant robot spider monster thing named Metal Face.
Well, eventually you learn that he is more than that, but he is also a murderer that keeps killing people, including your very good friend. And
it
it's
boggles
just
the mind.
Right. It's so dumb. Anyway, the gameplay itself I really enjoyed. The story continued to go a little off the rails the closer it got to the end. There were a lot of things that happened in the game that I was like, well, none of this needed to happen. If this was their motivation, they could have stopped like 12 steps ago and succeeded, and my characters never even would have been involved in the story. But other than that, it was fun. The gameplay I actually enjoyed way more than the story, and the story I enjoy, and the music I enjoyed even more than the gameplay. The music is excellent.
Yeah.
But the story I enjoyed way more than the voice acting. I really did not enjoy the voice acting in that game, especially fucking Ricky. That's the most obnoxious character in the world.
The voice acting in Xenoblade is very like PS2 era feeling to me.
Right.
Which really, honestly, I know I said it even recently on the show, but like it feels so much like a PS2 JRPG with just a few quality of life improvements.
Right. That just happened to come out a few years late.
Yeah, it's almost uncanny, like as much as it feels like an early aughts PS2 JRPG.
And you know, I have to say the localization itself seems to have done a phenomenal job. So props to them, and I'm sure the voice actors did great with what they were given. But just it comes off so awkward in so many occasions, and there's a lot of lines that just sound like they have no idea what the rest of the script is. Like they were given these 4 words and told to say them.
Yeah,
and it's weird. So after I finished that, I thought I would try Live Alive because they released the demo. The game itself actually just came out as of when we're recording this, but my copy was delayed for a week. So I tried the demo because its save file carries over into the full version.
Right.
And man, is it still good. It's still just such a charming, and most importantly, it's a speedy little game. Each of the chapters are relatively short. You can burst through them if you want in just a few hours. It's just a nice little bite-sized JRPG with a tactical grid-based battle system.
This all just sounds exactly what I want.
It's so good. It's in the story is charming and the music is nice. And the HD 2D graphics really do a great job for it. So
no. You had me at tactical grid combat. You don't need to keep going.
So I'm looking forward for my copy to arrive because that's what I plan on tackling next. It was a good time going back to the demo of that because I hadn't played the fan translation in probably almost 20 years now. So it was nice to revisit that.
Yeah. Let's do the news.
Okay.
GoldenEye remaster supposedly delayed indefinitely due to war in Ukraine.
That's a reason, but that's also the same reason we heard for Advance Wars.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm getting worried about that.
Yeah, I'm also getting a little worried about that one.
Yeah.
GameStop launched an NFT marketplace. Honestly, I'm really shocked they didn't already have one. As soon as I read that, I was like, "You mean again?" And then apparently, no. This is the first. This is the first time they've dipped into NFTs when it's at, it has to be at an all-time high for them to get in, right? Right, everyone, right? It's an all-time high.
Yeah.
I love that now companies getting into NFTs look like assholes, but also stupid.
Yeah.
Because there was a time there where it's like people are making a lot of fucking money on these things.
Right.
I don't know where these people are, but someone is. Money is exchanging hands, large amounts of it. And then finally GameStop shows up and they're just like the harbinger of failed industry. Of like, here's GameStop's here. I guess this is over.
It's like that Slowpoke meme. Hey guys, I got my NFT marketplace going.
Bandai Namco's Asia region servers were hacked. Unknown what information was obtained at this time. Namco, protect your shit. You know how to do it. You
right?
Just fucking do it, please.
Right.
Konami celebrates Metal Gear's 35th anniversary by saying they'll try to relist the versions of MGS 2 and 3 that were removed from digital stores last year.
Yes. Happy anniversary. That's the saddest anniversary announcement.
Happy anniversary. I'll try to get back that stuff I lost. Sorry.
Not even like we're going to get it on a new console. Just like we'll try to relist it if you still have a PS3.
We're just going to try. We don't really know. We own the fucking games, but we don't really know what, like.
Apparently some archive footage was the problem. Like they had lost their rights to that archive footage. And I guess now they're trying to renegotiate that at a Konami acceptable price.
So zero? Mm-hmm. They're trying to get it for free?
Yeah, that's my thought. Why don't they just patch the games to add in some public domain footage?
Saturn.
Oh, right. That's work. Right.
Konami doesn't actually have anyone that knows how to make games working at the company anymore.
Right.
Like, I can't imagine that there's many people that would know how to patch a game. Genesis Mini 2 confirmed for North American release as an Amazon exclusive. I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah, it's a weird release that they're doing because it's an Amazon exclusive, but it's being sold by Amazon Japan on Amazon US. So you can't do Prime shipping, and the shipping is what, $20, I think?
Yeah, I think it was like $125 all told for my pre-order. Yeah. And that feels real high.
Yeah, that's pretty steep. That's more than I paid for my TurboGrafx Mini.
I mean, how much was the first Genesis? Wasn't it $59?
I want to say it was 69 or somewhere in there.
I like.
It's been a little while.
If it was just $100 flat, it would have been a hard sell. I would have been like, I don't know. As it is, like I pre-ordered, but I fully expect to cancel.
Yeah. No, as it is, it's going to be 50 games, and a bunch of them are Sega CD games. And the games that we have heard, there's some real stellar games in there. So I'm excited about it, but it does feel a little pricey. But they are releasing the 6-button controller with it. And my thought is that that's why it's being sold by Amazon Japan. I think that somehow Sega's agreement with Retrobit says that only Retrobit can sell that controller in America. Yeah. But if Amazon Japan is selling it, then it's technically being sold in Japan.
I already hacked my Genesis, so I can already put like Sega CD games on it.
How much room does it have for them?
I don't know because I didn't put any on it.
Right.
But they did say this one has expanded memory, so maybe it'll just be my Sega CD Genesis Mini, which can then go on the shelf with the other one that doesn't ever get played. Next to my RetroPie in a Genesis case that also similarly sits on a shelf.
But it is adorable, though. We have to.
It is there. There you go. Nintendo acquires Dynamo Pictures and renames them to Nintendo Pictures.
Presumably to start a empire of the Nintendo Cinematic Universe.
Good. I'm okay with it. Go ahead, have fun. I would really like a good Zelda movie. I think would be like, because I know they're going Mario, but I feel like a good, just kind of like, B tier, like Marvel level quality Zelda action movie would be pretty good. You know what I mean?
You know what I think would be excellent? If they release the Mario movie and then they release an even decent Zelda movie and an decent Metroid movie, and then they just do like an Ant-Man quality Captain N movie that just like mixes it all together. That'd be so wonderful.
Who would you cast as Link?
As Link?
Yeah.
I don't watch enough movies to know any actors that I could name for that. So
okay, I would cast John C. Reilly. That would be my Link. I think he'd be the
Not the late Christopher Lee?
No,
okay.
Not the late Christopher Lee. Unity is merging with a company that makes those shitty installers that offer to install a half dozen unwanted bullshit apps alongside the one thing you need.
Great,
so
thanks,
this is
Unity.
Fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that's pretty worrying.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know development lifespans for engines like Unity. Like, it feels long in the tooth.
It keeps getting upgraded to be modern. I mean, in the same way that Unreal Engine keeps getting upgraded.
Right.
And all that.
I just keep waiting for the new thing. Everybody's like, oh yeah, we don't use Unity anymore. Now we use blank, and it just seems like nothing has supplanted it.
Game Maker.
Yeah. And television's offices are empty and available for lease. Do you think Tommy Tallarico thought about renting them out just to like be in them one more time?
Just put his Pog collection in there or something.
He probably does have a Pog collection. He seems like the type. We keep saying the Amico is not happening.
Right, yeah.
It's not good. There's just no way.
The writing is on the wall, man. It's not.
They can't even write it on the wall because they don't have the offices anymore. They lost them.
Well, they could spray paint it on the outside of the wall. Nobody can stop them except for the police.
So yeah, man, it's sad.
Yeah.
But also quite funny.
It's hilarious.
Portal has been demade for the N64.
It looks really neat too.
It's surprisingly impressive. Yeah. So that's a neat. I'm always in favor of demakes.
Right. There's something super quaint about those N64 era polygons. Like, there's not too many games from that era that I really enjoy going back to play. Yeah. But there's something about the dumb, goofy polygon shapes of that era that is charming.
Yeah, where like heads are just like hexagons. And that's not what a head looks like.
It's just a hexagon with a shitty JPEG slathered on the front of it as a face.
And fingers were just those long rectangles.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, man, that's not right. Embracer Group has spent a reported $2 million on its retro gaming archive. Claims to have at least 50,000 games. So let's see, $2 million, 50,000 games. They've bought every Madden game.
Now, apparently, a bunch of consoles, they showed some pictures, and it's a ton of
it's
stuff.
impressive looking.
Yeah. I'm curious if they're going to, like, open it to the public at some point and be like, just come on in and check it out, or if it's just going to be like, no, this is like the grain repository in the Arctic. It's just being saved for the future.
I could grain repository in the Arctic. What an obscure, weird comparison. I'm glad that someone is doing this work.
Right.
I wish that it was not a corporation.
I wish it wasn't a giant, massive megacorp. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm glad the work is being done.
But of the megacorps, they do seem to be the least shitty right now.
Yeah, they seem to actually care
size.
about gaming.
Yeah.
3DS and Wii U eShops still set to close on March 28th, 2023, will no longer accept eShop gift cards after August 29th, 2022. So let me tell you, if you want to get in good on this, you wait till August 28th when everyone discounts them out. Then you go buy them and you cash them all in and buy a bunch of games.
Yeah. Well,
that's the plan.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's the same eShop gift card as Switch. So you can still redeem those on your Switch.
Spoiled!
And then use them on your 3DS and Wii U.
Well, never mind. Don't do any of that then. It won't work for shit.
So if you have a Switch, then if you get a eShop gift card after August 29th and still want to spend it on your 3DS or Wii U, just redeem it on your Switch and then go over to your other console and use it.
Yeah. And that brings us to the topic at hand. This week we are talking Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which you might have heard of. It's a game in which you obtain rings.
Yes, there are rings and there are hedgehogs, and they are totally normal-looking hedgehogs.
We do need to kind of start with
Scope,
because I have a feeling you can guess what our next episode is going to be. And really, this is just a big 2-part Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles episode, and we're just going to lop it off when it starts to get long. And so all that to say that the episode lengths and structure might be a little wonky.
Yeah.
Because we haven't done a weird 2-part episode like this, and it's been a good while.
Yeah. And this one is particularly weird because it's actually 2 games.
Yes. Well, sort of. We'll talk about it later.
Right.
But,
we'll get to that.
Just so you know, if things are a little weird, that's what's going on, because Saturn tried valiantly to really kind of separate Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles into 2 separate episodes, and you just can't do it. And again, we're going to talk about why. But yeah, it just doesn't work. And then he was like, well, I tried. You go look at the notes. And I looked at it for about an hour, and I was like, we just have to do it all at once. There's no other way to do it. Which makes the way Sega did do it even more dumbfounding.
Weird.
So as far as release info, this was developed by Sega Technical Institute, published by Sega for the Genesis and Mega Drive, published North America February 2nd, 94, PAL territories were February 24th, 94, and Japan was May 27th, 94.
They had to wait a few months.
They did. How strange for the era.
I wonder how much translation had to be done there.
I feel like Sega of this era did this occasionally, where the other territories would get priority over Japan.
I believe Sonic 2 did as well, if I remember right.
Windows 95 and 98 port published by Sega in early 1997, unfortunately. So
it's not a bad port, honestly.
The fact that you didn't start with "it's pretty good," it's not a bad port, honestly, sounds like defensive.
Yeah,
that sounds defensive.
Gameplay-wise, it's fine, but music-wise, it's really weird because it's all MIDI.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because it was that era where a lot of PC games still used MIDI, and Sonic with MIDI is just a little weird, is all.
As far as first encounters, Sonic 3 was in the stable of Genesis games I had as a teenager, and it's probably the one I played the most out of all of them, outside of maybe the 6-pack, just because it was 6 whole games. To the point that I never really I played almost no Sonic 1 and very little Sonic 2 because I had Sonic 3. This is the best Sonic. Why would I play these other lesser Sonics?
And why would you play Mario 1 or 2 after you've played Mario 3?
Because they're different enough. Sonic's not. I'm just going to say it.
You're going to get people writing in now.
I know. People are going to get mad. But I mean, all right. We'll talk more about it in a little bit. But also, my copy had Sonic and Knuckles. in
So you also had Sonic and Knuckles as well.
Yeah, like if you had just glued the cartridges together, I probably never would have noticed. That's how often I played Sonic 3.
You never played Sonic 2 and Knuckles?
Occasionally I would, just because it was exciting. But then, like, we never played Sonic 3 without Sonic and Knuckles attached. Like, because again, I got my Genesis a few years after the fact. I mean, I got my Genesis, it was like very early 2000s. So about a decade late.
Right.
And so, we didn't have to we didn't have to do the thing where it's like, oh, Sonic 3 came out, when is Sonic and Knuckles? And then there's this era where you have it without it. It was just always Sonic 3 and Knuckles to us forever.
Yeah.
And man, I played the shit out of Sonic 3. Just absolutely played it to death. What a fun,
time. If you never played a standalone, you missed out on part of it.
This is true. I'm sure I did at some point be like, I wonder what it's like if I take this off. And then I played a little bit and I was like, seems the same, and then turned it off. But yeah.
Now I'd rented it when it came out. I already had Sonic 1 and 2 because they both came with my Genesis, and we played a shit ton of them. And I remember being impressed at the time by the stuff that was improved in it, all the new shields and stuff. But I didn't end up buying it until way later, just because of price and because of other stuff coming out. But I did play the demo of the PC version a lot. Like when that was released, I don't know if I could download it. I don't know if it was... I think it was too big for me to download at first. And so I had gotten it with like a PC World or something, some demo of it. And I played a shitload of that. And that was most of me playing Sonic 3 until I finally got a copy, probably around 99 or 2000 or something. But yeah.
So tell me about the development of Sonic 3 and subsequently Knuckles.
Sonic 3 and or Knuckles.
Which I believe was the working title, Sonic 3 and subsequently Knuckles. And then they're like, we can't call it that. That would be stupid.
So the development was handled in California by STI, which stands for Sexually Transmitted Infection.
Yes, as we all know.
Right.
Of course.
So, Sega Technical Institute, the Western members of the team were busy working on Sonic Spinball. And so the Japanese members of the team were working on Sonic 3. And there was apparently some resentment about that from what I read. The director of STI was Roger Hector. And he says the decision was made very early to split the game into two games in very, very early in development. That was one of the first things they decided was, this is too big, too ambitious. We're going to split it into two games.
Do not believe you.
Yuji Naka contradicts this.
Yeah.
And he says that they had planned out the full game with all the stages, and they decided, one, the cartridge would be too expensive, and that they wouldn't finish it in time, and so they split it at that point. And when you look through the prototypes that have since been found and leaked, you can see that there was at least some time in advance that they knew they were going to be splitting it.
Right.
But I don't think it was very, very early in development.
Now, I'll say this. Because it's a pretty, for like a Genesis game of the era, it's a relatively lengthy and complex game. Whenever you factor in all the different Chaos Emerald shenanigans, like there's a lot of game packed into this.
Right. When you have them both.
So I could see early on them being like, hey, maybe this should be two games, but then where they split it
is weird.
Is what makes you think that it was this last minute thing, because they split it so early.
Right. So also, I remember people at the time when Sonic 3 came out, they were like, this is kind of a short game. This is shorter than Sonic 1 or Sonic 2. I wish there was more to this. And if I remember right, it was probably 2 or 3 months after Sonic 3 came out before Sega made Sonic and Knuckles known.
Yeah.
So for a couple months there, people were just like, it's really good. It's a good upgrade, but it's short and kind of anticlimactic. And then they announced, oh, but what if you play the rest of the game?
I had never played through just Sonic 3 to my memory, like all the way through it. And so for this show, I played just vanilla Sonic 3 all the way through. And I will say, it felt like I was trying to imagine. I'm like, all right, I don't know Sonic and Knuckles exists. I just bought this. It's Sonic 3. I'm excited for it. And I played all the way through it. And one, it felt a little short, but not like I wouldn't have been like offended. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I had played it in there, I'd have been like, it was maybe kind of short, but
it's a world or two shorter than the first two, but not like half of a game.
But what really got me was the ending. The ending was so sudden and anticlimactic that I was like, no, that part definitely felt weird.
Right.
But I will say, because I know that Sega fans of the era were incensed by the split.
Not all of them.
Okay. I know in retrospect, a lot of Sega fans of the era were incensed by the split and thought it was dumb.
Right.
But I feel like Sonic 3 was a decent experience.
Yeah.
Just not amazing, not incredible, not the game that it became.
Right.
But vanilla Sonic 3, it was okay.
When
it was pretty good.
all of this came out, I didn't know too many people who felt like they were ripped off by it. I knew more people who felt like they were getting some sort of enhanced treat with Sonic and Knuckles.
See, that flies in the face of kind of the
what you hear now anyway.
The narrative now, yeah. Because again, I lived in a Nintendo town and we had Nintendo stuff, so I didn't know anybody at the time. So by the time I was aware of it, the narrative was mostly, oh yeah, they fucking ripped us off by cutting our game in half.
Yeah, the people that I knew at the time that were super huge Sega fans, which I had a Genesis, but I wasn't the super huge Sega fan in our group.
Yeah.
But the people that I knew they were like, holy shit, I can get even more Sonic this year and I just have to buy it again? Well, shit. So they were all very excited about it. And it was, I'm getting double the game this year. I only have to pay double. So it was, most of the people I knew were pretty stoked about it. And also the fact that it could connect to Sonic 2 was like, holy shit, this is even more Sonic.
Yeah.
So it felt like a worthwhile thing at the time to those people. It was a little more than what I could stomach as far as cost goes. I was like, I'll get it when it drops in price because it's Sonic. It'll drop in price. But I did rent it a lot. So So yeah, Yuji Naka contradicts it. He says that it was during development is when they decided to split it, after they had already done quite a bit of planning and even some programming, and that they went with the lock-on tech as the compromise. And there is partial data and code for many Sonic and Knuckles levels, as well as music and graphics on the Sonic 3 ROM. And some of the Sonic 3 prototypes have even more data than that. From Sonic and Knuckles. But it's hard to say whether or not that means they wanted to try to fit it all on the same cartridge or if they just hadn't decided which levels were going into which product yet. So it's tough to say. Yeah. But before development even began on the game in January of 93, Sega signed a deal with McDonald's to promote the game via commercials and Happy Meals in February of 94.
Yeah, which for people that maybe didn't live, because I know McDonald's is worldwide, but I feel like Happy Meals were probably more of a thing in America than they were outside of America.
And especially in the 90s.
Happy Meal promotions in the 90s were like megaton. There was no better children's advertising. Right. That was the that was the Super Bowl ad for children's advertising.
Right. That was basically
or maybe people that aren't old enough to have lived through the right. I mean, McDonald's still does it, but nobody fucking cares.
Right.
In the 90s it was like insanity. People were so insane for this shit that a lot of stores like Burger King had like premium shit. You could go in there and buy like frosted mugs with the Batman Forever cast on them, or VHS tapes. Like buying shit at your burger joint was a thing.
Oh yeah,
people went fucking crazy, myself included. I had all the Power Rangers Happy Meal toys. I had every one of them that they ever made.
I had all the Super Mario Brothers 3 ones.
Yep.
Those are great.
So because I feel, because we're coming into the weight that this particular decision had, and I want to contextualize that. Like, having paid for McDonald's Happy Meal toy and related advertising was massive. You do not pass that up, no matter what you have to do.
But because of that, they had a hard deadline. This game is out by February of 94 because you don't want to make McDonald's look stupid because they will be angry at you.
Yeah, you don't want to make the people with the clown for the advertising look stupid.
You don't want the grimace coming after you. And granted, this was just in the U.S. that it had to be out in February of 94. So maybe that's why there was the delay before the Japanese release, because they wanted to finish the fucking game.
Yeah, maybe.
But
yeah.
So they had this deadline. They had to have a game ready for sale at that point. And Roger Hector said that the early designs for the game were actually to make an isometric platformer using the Sega Virtual Processor chip that was used in Virtua Racing. Mm-hmm. But the decision was made to revert to a traditional 2D game so that they could meet that insane McDonald's deadline. And Naka had said that he wanted to increase the scope of the game, specifically over Sonic 2 by adding more characters, more story, more levels. And in order to save time, because again, they had that deadline, they just built it on top of the source code from Sonic 2. Mm-hmm. And it shows.
And I do kind of wonder if people of the era, and maybe you remember, were like, oh, the fact that Sonic & Knuckles works on Sonic 2 means that this was planned the whole time.
No, nobody knew that. No. At least nobody seemed to think that far in advance, as far as I knew anyway. Maybe it was reported in some magazine, but I didn't see it.
I could just see some kid being like, well, obviously they knew they were going to do this lock-on technology ever since Sonic 2 came out, because this works on Sonic. You know what I mean?
The people that I knew thought that the lock-on technology was literally magic. Like it was a Game Genie connected to Narnia that would just reprogram your copy of Sonic 2.
Every one of them put different games onto it to see if Knuckles would pop up in it, right? I mean, everyone did that, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is a normal
thing. Every game you had, you would plug it in there and see the
is
no
Knuckles
way.
There? No.
Yeah, it was insane. It was intense.
I am kind of shocked that they never released a combo cart with Sonic 3 and Knuckles all in one cart.
So they had considered that before releasing a what they were going to call Sonic 3. I think they were going to call it like Enhanced Edition.
At least for the Genesis 3 or something, when they're late in the game.
The thing is that in order to do so, they would have needed a 32 meg cart, and it would have cost them so much that the game would have had to retail for like $90.
There it is.
So they opted out of that and went with the lock-on instead.
Yeah.
So the level design was changed from prior games to allow for different starting points for the different protagonists. So there was the Sonic starting point, and there was the Knuckles starting point. Even though Knuckles ended up being cut from Vanilla Sonic 3, a lot of those levels still have the Knuckles starting point. Mm-hmm. Some of the levels don't have it in Sonic 3, and the level design is patched with the lock-on to add in that starting point. So it's you can see that they were still working on even Sonic 3 after Sonic 3 released. Mm-hmm. Also, there's some bug patches in the Sonic and Knuckles cart that fixes some of the bugs in Sonic 3.
Yeah, I will say that at the time, not at the time because I got it years later, but I remember being like, man, I wish every game had a cartridge expansion that I could lock that shit onto and add stuff to, that would be amazing. And I was blown away why more companies didn't do it. I was like, this is the greatest idea ever.
Well, they did on PC. We called them expansion packs.
Right, but then on your consoles, it's always like, well, whatever you get is whatever's on the cart, and that's the game. Nuh-uh. You can just lock that shit on.
And it really did blow our minds when that was able to do that. Anyway, Roger Hector, he had mentioned all of the animosity within STI. Basically, one, nobody liked Yuji Naka's leadership style, which...
We have heard this.
Yeah, in retrospect, we hear that more and more the more we think about Yuji Naka.
Yeah.
And also, the American developers that were working on Sonic Spinball and then other projects were also very upset about how much priority Sonic 3 was getting. And he said also he was having a hard time talking with the Japanese developers because he would have to go through a translator because he didn't speak Japanese. Yeah. But they would speak directly to Japan over his head. And that also caused some problems. He did eventually Roger Hector admitted that they had hired Michael Jackson to help compose the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
But he claims that any tracks written by him were destroyed and unused after the allegations of child abuse surfaced.
Now hold on. What year did those allegations come out?
But I believe it was 94. I believe it was like right before the game launched or around the time the game launched.
So there's no way
it might have been late 93
to redo the soundtrack.
So
like, I mean, obviously we know now that well, we'll get into more. We know different information now, but even at the time, like that's unbelievable.
Well,
you know,
at the time
even if they wanted to.
At the time the game came out, nobody knew that Michael Jackson was involved. Like there was maybe a rumor here or there, but nobody knew. And Tom Kalinske, who was the president of Sega of America, he and the other executives at Sega have claimed multiple times over the years they were completely unaware that there was any involvement with Michael Jackson. Like nobody even told them.
Does not get involved in your project, and you don't fucking know about it.
That's the dumbest claim.
Lies.
There was an interview with Michael Jackson's then director Brad Buxer, who said that Jackson only wrote one track, but that Jackson's team and other writers wrote over 40 tracks,
of course,
for the game. And then while Hector and others at Sega said that Jackson's music was removed due to the allegations, Buxer and others from Jackson's team said the music was left in, but Jackson himself chose to go uncredited because he was unhappy with how the Genesis sound chip reproduced the music he composed.
Which is not shocking to me. It's kind of shocking. It's kind of shocking to me that he would even get involved in video game composition to begin with.
Well, at the time, he was pretty open about the fact that he was a fan of Sega. He was a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right.
He had already done that Moonwalker game with them.
True.
So,
it just still seems so odd.
It does.
To come in and be like, hey, your next Sonic game, can I do music for it? Like, just...
Right.
It just seems...
But it's also Michael Jackson, so it's hard to say that anything seems odd.
Especially 90s Michael Jackson.
I mean, this was not that long after he had done that voice cameo on The Simpsons as the guy who was impersonating Michael Jackson.
Oh my God, I forget about that. I remember having playground arguments over whether or not that was actually Michael Jackson. You know, because we didn't have it on tape, and we had to wait for it to air again, you know.
And he wasn't credited in the episode because he chose not to be credited.
And so I remember those.
Because he didn't want to break the illusion for the kids.
Anyway.
Yuji Naka, of course, as we mentioned a couple episodes ago, he recently revealed that Jackson's collaboration with the game was deeper than previously revealed. And that Naka and the team were actually flown out to Neverland Ranch during development. He also confirmed that the music tracks that were unused in the PC port and also used in Sonic Origins re-release those tracks were the tracks that were not used in the PC port or in Sonic Origins were the ones composed by Jackson and his team, despite the fact that obviously Jackson was uncredited in the game.
So basically confirming that, yes, the Michael Jackson soundtrack has been the re-release issue for Sonic 3.
Exactly.
And so years.
So at least there was some confirmation on that story after all these years.
And man, what a not great era to get flown out to Neverland Ranch. Like, you got to pick a year range to not get flown out to Neverland Ranch. That's the range right there.
And they, even if you just lock on Sonic and Knuckles onto Sonic 3, some of the Jackson tracks are removed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird.
Yeah.
So Hector had said that the lock-on technology used was actually developed before the release of Sonic 2, and not specifically for Sonic. They just came up with this idea of, this is a way that we can patch a game onto another game.
Mm-hmm.
They just had no viable project for it within Sega until Sonic 3 and Knuckles was in development, and the team at what would become Sonic Team had heard about this technology, so when they realized they had to split up their game, they went and approached the hardware team and said, hey, that thing that you guys worked on years ago that you never used, we want that now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was already on hand. The designer of the game, Takashi Iizuka, he stated in an interview that they originally intended for the Sonic and Knuckles cart to only work with Sonic 3, but they knew that players would just try to plug in every game they could. So to accommodate this, they started looking to see what they could possibly do. And of course, because so much of the source code was reused between Sonic 3 and Sonic 2, they were able to add Knuckles into Sonic 2 somewhat easily. And also, they after they played with it, they were like, well, Knuckles just kind of fits because none of these levels really hurt with Knuckles' playstyle, so heck with it, we'll do that. And he said that the reason that Knuckles wasn't added to Sonic 1 was because, quote, it didn't feel right. And
I'm going to go on record as saying Sonic 1 doesn't feel right. That was a rough cut.
Yeah, it is an early game. The other people on the team said that it was just because the code between Sonic 1 and Sonic 3 was a little too different to easily implement it, so that's why they didn't do it.
Yeah.
But so in order to compensate, they added the extra Blue Spheres levels to Sonic 1, which, man, I played so much of that.
No.
I played so much Sonic 1 and Knuckles Blue Sphere over the years. That was
I remember my brother practicing the Blue Spheres mini game with Sonic 1 to get better at it in Sonic 3.
Yeah. And the levels that it gives you with Sonic 1 are completely unrelated to the levels from Sonic 3. So it teaches you the game, but it doesn't teach you those levels.
Right. So I think we have time to get into story and presentation, and we'll probably snip out kind of the lengthy gameplay for next episode.
Yeah.
So let's talk story.
Yeah.
So Dr. Robotnik is defeated by Sonic and optionally Tails in Sonic 2, and his Death Egg comes crashing down into a floating island that serves as home to the Chaos Emeralds.
Right.
Eggman detects a giant Chaos Emerald on the island that he thinks could repower his Death Egg, so he opens up a new base on the island to launch an attack.
Right.
Knuckles is the guardian of the island, thinks Death Egg is a legendary dragon that will destroy the island.
Like you do.
And around this time, he encounters Eggman, who tells him he's a scientist investigating the Death Egg. He also tells Knuckles that an evil hedgehog named Sonic has stolen the Chaos Emeralds in order to stop his research. Sonic and Tails detect the signal of the Chaos Emeralds on a radar and decide to go to the island to investigate. Now, none of this story is explained in the game.
That's in the manual.
It's in the manual.
This is the 90s. Of course the story's in the manual. Nobody expects story in a game in the 90s.
Legend of Zelda. Story in the game. Right when you turn it on. Bam. Easy enough. Easy enough.
Yeah,
Zelda did it.
You get one screen of story in Zelda. That's true.
Look, Zelda did it. They could do it.
Now I'm just imagining a Sonic 3 intro scroll that just has like a little tiny Sonic holding, please see manual for more details.
Yeah. As far as like there really is there's no story in the game.
No, not in the game. Well, there's little cinematics. Kind of.
You have little moments where the characters kind of bounce off one another, and they're sort of you get the indication of emotion going on. I will say that just kind of story presentation wise, I get really annoyed in the game because there's a lot of shit that happens where like, oh no, Robotnik showed up or Knuckles showed up and screwed over Sonic or stole the thing they're trying to grab or whatever, just the normal stuff. But it's always after a couple seconds of me being on top of the thing and at any moment could actively have grabbed it.
Right.
Like they just didn't, a lot of the cinematics just aren't timed very well.
Like, oh no, Sonic didn't jump out of the way for those 18 seconds that Knuckles was staring at him.
Yeah, there's a few, I want to say there's at least 2 or 3 times where Knuckles comes out and like pushes a button and the ground underneath Sonic falls out from under him. And the whole time it's going on, Sonic is just standing there looking at him and I'm like,
just staring at him.
Literally, first of all, your one job is running fast. Second of all, your companion can fly.
Right.
And can
pick you up.
And can pick you up and fly as proven in some of the later levels.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
Yeah.
What is actually happening here?
Well, they got surprised.
Like, I like that they went through the effort to kind of, add in a little bit. I don't know that I would say that there's story in the game, but there's character in the game.
Yeah, and it's certainly more than the first 2 had as far as interaction between the characters and any kind of characterization of the characters.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. I feel like it's cute and it's fun, and it does add something to it.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a pantomime of a story than an actual story. Yeah. Let's talk about graphics.
Yes.
Because this game has graphics.
I want to start by saying, back then, I was not a big fan of polygonal graphics. I'm still not a fan of polygonal graphics. Even like the super realistic, amazing graphics on the current consoles, I'd rather have 2D art.
Yeah.
But when this came out, I remember seeing that big-ass polygonal Sonic on the title screen and just being like, holy shit, that's the future of video games. That's amazing.
Yes. The big Sonic is so iconic.
I wonder how much of the game's cart is filled up with that big-ass Sonic.
I don't know, but I do feel like as far as extremely iconic title screens go, that Sonic 3 is up there. Yeah. Sonic 3 is
well, Sonic and Knuckles is pretty good too, because then you have big ass Sonic and big ass Knuckles.
This is true. I was disappointed that Knuckles wasn't added to the title screen when you locked it on to the Sonic 3 title
If you
screen.
unlock it and just play Sonic and Knuckles, he's there.
Right, but I feel like he should have been added to the title screen on Sonic 3 to begin with.
Nah, fuck that.
Put it there. It's Sonic 3 and you put and Knuckles. Yeah. You can't actually put and Knuckles.
He gets his name. He doesn't get representation. That's a little weird because in Sonic 2, Tails got to be in the ring with Sonic.
Yes.
Why couldn't Tails and Knuckles squeeze their way in? Maybe there wasn't enough room with that big ass Sonic.
I guess so. That's got to be it. It's got to be a thing if they're just like, look, the Genesis is already like running hot trying to display this big old Sonic, so we need to back it up.
Yeah.
Character designs are pretty much the same. I mean, like you said, the engine is pretty much the same.
They did improve the character models. They added some shading and some extra color, and I even noticed that back then. I remember when I first turned on Sonic 3, I was like, oh, this actually does look better than Sonic 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, the improved colors is nice.
Yeah. The bosses are bigger, a little more diverse. They have kind of some more interesting gameplay type mechanics, and they do different things as opposed to just being like it's a robot and it moves back and forth and you kind of hit it
8 times.
There you go, you're done.
And I like that when you are playing as Knuckles instead of Sonic or Tails, that instead of Robotnik, it's one of his little robots that is shaped just like him.
Yes.
I think that's a good little thing.
And before we get into the soundtrack, the Blue Spheres bonus game.
It looked so amazing back then.
It still looks pretty amazing today. It's quite impressive. Yeah. Quite an impressive looking mini game.
But especially for Genesis, it looked incredible at the time.
And what a soundtrack to the Blue Spheres mini game. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And
I can hear that song in my sleep every single night.
The little noise it makes when you pick them up, like, whoop, I can't even do it, but it's so satisfying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's so good.
I love it. Let's talk music and sound.
Yes.
This soundtrack is phenomenal. It's an outstanding soundtrack.
Pretty often on the show, I will complain about the Genesis sound chip, and how it makes a lot of things sound like farts. Because it does.
I think a lot of it is just people tried to use the Genesis sound chip the same way they use the Super Nintendo sound chip.
Exactly.
And every time it came out sounding
PC sound chips. Anytime they ported anything to Genesis, or if they just half-assed the job of writing something for Genesis, it sounded farty. Though also parts of Phantasy Star 2 sound farty. Anyway.
How could
But this particular game sounds incredible on the Genesis. This is some of the best performance of the Genesis sound chip, and it just, even today, it sounds excellent.
Yeah. I do want to talk specific tracks, and there's so many good ones. I think what's the ice looking? Is it Hidden Palace? It's
Ice Cap is the ice level.
Ice Cap is the ice. That track alone is probably my favorite in the entirety of Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
You were playing the original Genesis version, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Why? What is it? Well, because see, here's the thing, and we talked about this when Sonic Origins came out.
Yeah.
Everyone was kind of disappointed that the soundtracks were being changed, and that was the price and everything else was already kind of upsetting, but that was the nail in the coffin. I was like, there's literally no way I'm going to buy this. The soundtrack to this game is so good, and I'm sure the stuff they put in is fine. I'm sure it is.
So I played through it on Origins for this, and I am going to take a moment to defend the Origins soundtrack.
Okay, yeah.
Because I actually really enjoyed it. And first of all, as much as Ice Cap, the original Jackson version, is probably the best track in the game.
Yeah,
and
by far.
Is the worst loss in Sonic Origins or in the Windows 98 port. And it hurts to not have Ice Cap. However, not having Jackson's version of Casino Night, fine. That's just great. Just get rid of that track, because I love the version that's in Sonic Origins. I think it's excellent. I think it's better than the original, and I would prefer it to the original.
Yeah, I will say Casino Night, not still, but also that level has so many fucking noises going on that you kind of can't hear the damn song anyway.
That's true. But
so I guess that's why I never. What is the one that's later in the game?
Carnival Night. Sorry, Carnival.
What's the one that's later in the game? I want to say it's Sky Sanctuary, where it's got someone saying "Hey" in the middle of the song.
I believe that is. Wait, I think that might be Sky Sanctuary.
That one kind of gets on my nerves a little bit. I think it's the last level in Vanilla Sonic 3.
Okay, Launch Base.
Launch Base, thank you. And that song kind of gets on my nerves a little bit. But the rest of it, it's so good.
Well, that's another track that is replaced. In Sonic Origins.
That I think that's the only one that like I'm like, I don't love this track. It's not. I'm not upset by it.
Yeah, but
I don't love it.
Now, one thing that I really liked was that they had already changed some of the established jingles in Sonic 1 and 2, because when you look at the Mario series, there's jingles that are still being used from Super Mario Brothers today, and they've not,
for sure.
They've not dared to touch them. And then Sonic 3 comes out, and it replaces the 1-up sound, it replaces the invincibility sound, it replaces all this stuff that had become canon in Sonic 1 and 2, and they were willing to take the risk to change it, to make things a little different. And I actually really liked that at the time. I thought that the new tracks felt different enough that it made it feel like a slightly more mature game than the prior games did. Yeah. And then Sonic and Knuckles changes some of those tracks again. And so if you lock Sonic 3 onto Sonic and Knuckles, you only get the Sonic and Knuckles version and not the Sonic 3 version of some of that music.
Yeah, I cannot praise the combined soundtracks here enough. The highs are like actual. I'm gonna sound like an asshole saying this. Actual listenable music where I'll be sitting at home like, man, I really want to listen to that track. I've never been sitting around and been like, man, I really want to listen to the music from Mario 3. Like, it's a great video game soundtrack. It's outstanding.
Still put Mario 3 on every now and then.
But I'm not just gonna, like, as I'm sitting at home cleaning my kitchen, gonna be like, I need to listen to some Mario 3.
I've done that. I've literally done that.
Sonic 3, yes.
Sonic 3 is an excellent soundtrack.
Sit down and put some Sonic 3 on. It's just good music.
Yeah, and I do so
actually maybe World 2 from Mario 3.
Yeah,
World 2 I would listen to. But that's it.
No, I've always been a big fan of the Sonic 3 and Knuckles soundtrack, and I'm conflicted because I really enjoyed it in Sonic Origins, even the remixed versions of the tracks, and then I went back and listened to the prototype version that was released last year. Well, not officially released. It was leaked last year.
It was found.
Yeah. And those might be better versions than the Sonic Origins versions, but after having played through the game with them in Sonic Origins, I think I like the Sonic Origins versions better than the prototype versions. Really? But either way, the prototype and new version of Ice Cap is kind of shit. But the other restored tracks are actually pretty solid. And one thing I'll say is that Michael Jackson's tracks for Sonic 3 are great music, especially Ice Cap. It's excellent. Yeah. But they don't feel as video gamey as some of the other tracks in the games or as other tracks in the Sonic series.
Yeah.
And now that we are in the era where every video game is doing this thing where they all just do Hollywood scores and don't sound video gamey, there's a part of me that misses that video gamey soundtrack sound. And so having
the beeps and boops.
Yeah, the bleeps and the bloops. So having new Sonic tracks to listen to maybe that's why I am enjoying it, is just because it is new video game music in 2022. Yeah. From a retro vintage style. So maybe I am just conflating it in my mind with something bigger than it is, but I did enjoy it. It was good.
Well, you know what else people might enjoy?
Justin, I'm sorry. We have to end this episode right now. Our contract with McDonald's.
Oh Oh, shit, McDonald's?
Yeah,
They're doing the Justin and Saturn Happy Meal toys?
No, all we're getting is a McGriddle.
Oh, no.
But it's launching literally right at this second.
So we have to stop it. If they
we're getting a McRib patty with an RW logo on it. If
they put my visage on a McGriddle, I would be ecstatic. I'd be like, this is amazing.
No, they won't put your visage. They'll put your me on it.
We have a Patreon. It's at patreon.com/Retro Warriors. And you go, I was going to say go listen to it. Well, there's things there to listen to. Don't you know? Like Talking Wizards. And the other shows we do, After Hours is the other one. Uncut versions of this show where we talk about cannibalism for 10 solid minutes. And the real world challenges of storing human meat.
Look, sometimes these topics just come up.
It's a good survival thing to know. That's all I'm saying. You know, you don't want it to happen to you, but don't you want to be prepared if it does, Saturn? Don't you want to be prepared to store human meat for the winter?
No. No.
It's at patreon.com/Retro Warriors. If you, if the show gives, I was going to say gives your life meaning. If you get value from the show, then it would mean a lot to us if you would rate and review us, if you'd consider supporting us on Patreon.
Yeah, indeed.
If you want to, I'm not going to make you. But we do want to thank the following patrons, starting with Andrew Scalf
and Kevin Meyer,
Chris Forbes,
Sphincter says what?
David Nethery.
You didn't say what?
I did not say what.
Oh.
I know this trick.
STG the Mr. Guy,
The New Craft,
Jacob Sgella,
Chris Hickson,
and Amarlian
are all the patrons we want to thank for their very kind donations. And I want to thank you, Saturn, for just for being you. You know,
I was a little disappointed that you didn't want to be the sphincter in that joke. But you know, after that, I forgave you.
Can't a sphincter just refer to any valve that closes in that kind of like circular fashion? So it's not necessarily a beehole.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's probably a beehole.
I mean, obvious. That's the most, I would say, statistically, the most common type of sphincter is probably beeholes.
Certainly the kind that is referenced by people like us, anyway.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. And as always, let us cling together.